One of the things that was really fun to theorize about during the pre-Deltarune Chapter 3 days was who was going to be the secret boss of Chapter 3. After Chapter 1 and 2, there was a pattern established with Jevil and Spamton. They were both two crazy clowns that talked about freedom and both gave you a battle item and also a shadow crystal after you defeated them. And they shared two musical motifs that the fanbase creatively called the Freedom motif. So when we were all theorizing who the next secret boss of Chapter 3 was going to be, we all assumed that it was going to be a character similar to the two of them. It was really fun, and led to a lot of fun hypothetical fan-made characters. Most people thought it was going to be a cowboy because of Toby Fox's little shitpost about Toy Story. Others thought it was going to be this Mike/friend character that was referenced back in Chapter 2, which kind of ended up being somewhat true. And there's a lot of lesser-known theories about the secret boss being the flowers that Toriel threw away from Asgore or the microwave in the kitchen. They were all pretty plausible theories, so on June 4th, 2025, when Chapter 3 finally released, and it was this little Australian outlet, in all honesty, no one could have really seen that coming. But wait a second, I hear some of you saying, RAMB isn't the secret boss of Chapter 3, it's the Roaring Knight, or I guess the Shadow Mantle. And yes, viewer, you are very right about that. But my personal opinion, I see RAMB as the true secret boss of Chapter 3. And just like the other secret bosses, there's this little bit of tragedy to him, in the sense of he doesn't really get a conclusion. It seems to be the other characters in Chapter 3 don't really care about him. After all, this Pippin in Chapter 3 says,
"From Card Castle fit in fine. He never really belonged. His first day at the stand, he joked, 'How about the usual?' No one laughed."
He also doesn't belong in the TV world Dark World. He belongs in the cyber world Dark World, but ended up in TV world and gets stoned at the very end of the chapter. Not that kind of stone. I mean like stoned, like he literally turns into stone. And although yes, the other secret bosses have a very sad tragedy to them when you really take a closer look, RAMB is the only one that is a little bit more than just sad, but outright depressing. Now I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a bunch of videos talking about RAMB, whether fan-made comics or animation or analyzation videos like this one you're watching right now. There's quite a few dedicated to RAMB and I really appreciate that. And I'm sure he would as well. But I keep on coming back to this thought. Why is RAMB treated like the black sheep out of all the secret bosses? How come unlike the other quote-unquote freedom characters, we never actually fight him? Heck, he doesn't even have a theme really dedicated to him. The only two themes associated with him are Green Room, which uses Rules Cards theme, Hip Shop, and Dump, which uses Spamton's theme, and also oddly enough, the Holy theme. Well, with my goal in today's video, I'm aiming to answer that question. Why Toby Radiation Fox made this very depressing character. I think RAMB is the way he is because he is a parallel to Alphys from Undertale. I want to make one thing clear before I really start getting into the meat and potatoes of this video. When I say the names of characters from Undertale, such as Alphys, Undyne, Asgore, or Sans, I'm specifically referring to the versions of them in Undertale, because I know those characters also exist in Deltarune's universe, but you know, they don't have as big of a hold on the story of Deltarune as they did in the story of Undertale. So whenever I refer to them, you know, Alphys, Undyne, Asgore, I am specifically referring to their Undertale counterparts. And if I want to talk about their Deltarune counterparts, I will call it out in the video. Okay, we got that out of the way? Okay, let's get started with the video. Why did I snap in front of a microphone? I'm weird today. One thing I think most people notice about the other secret bosses is that they connect back to a main character back in Undertale. Jevil equals Sans, Spamton equals Metaton, and Gerson equals Undyne. With Jevil and Sans, it's a little bit of a stretch, but most people connect them together because Sans in Undertale is a bit of a jokester, and loves making really bad puns at the expense of Papyrus. And Jevil, obviously being a jester's whole gimmick is being comedic entertainment. And they're both pretty powerful bosses that you fight in a king's castle. You both fight them in a castle, and when you fight the both of them, they seem to be aware of the concept of attack and defense and other RPG mechanics. Even other characters that fought them say that they're really good fighters too. Although the parallels between Sans and Jevil are a little bit more stretchy, I will say the parallels between Spamton and Metaton are pretty strong. First off, Spamton and Metaton both were nobodies that once they found fame, they abandoned their family and friends. Metaton abandoned Hapstablook and Spamton abandoned the Addisons. They're both associated with this blue dress. They're the only two characters in this entire series to wear the Neo suit. Spamton even tries to become Spamton EX, just like how Metaton became Metaton EX back in Undertale. Not to mention Spamton's motif references other motifs associated with Metaton's ghost family. And the parallels between Gerson and Undyne are also pretty strong. They are both great warriors with two eyes, but one of which seem to be injured, and when you fight them, they have beautiful ponytails. Their battle themes are named after the weapons they hold. Their laughs are similar, Undyne's being nya and Gerson's being gra.
You nya!
You know, every time you say nya, a puppy dies.
Oh.
Also, when you fight Spamton and Metaton, the human soul turns yellow. And just like last time when you fight Gerson and Undyne, your soul turns green. They're also both characters that technically survive death. In Undertale, if you kill Undyne, she refuses to die and keeps on refusing until her determination completely melts her. Even in the genocide route, if you kill her with one shot, her hope and determination makes her refuse death and become even stronger, being nicknamed Undyne the Undying. And of course in Deltarune, Gerson's whole thing is, he's dead. But with the power of the Dark Fountain, made from determination, he is brought back to life.
I'm old!
And he is also old. Now with that out of the way, let's get back to the main point of the video. RAMB has a lot taken away from him. He's the only main shopkeeper that doesn't have a shopping sprite, unlike the other shopkeepers like Spamton or Sham or the other shopkeepers in Deltarune. And yes, I know Gerson doesn't have a shopping sprite either, but he had one in Undertale, so I'm gonna count that. He is also Australian and talks in a very Australian way. The channel Ask Era 87 pointed out in their video about RAMB that RAMB is the only outlet that smiles and the other outlets in Cyberworld don't, because European outlets look like they're smiling compared to American outlets where they look depressed.
No need to look so scared. I will give you a little kiss and make you feel better.
Funny little detail, even further disconnecting him from the group of characters that he's supposed to be connected to. There's just so many tiny little details that disconnect RAMB from other characters that RAMB is already supposed to be connected to, whether that be the other shopkeepers, the other secret bosses, or the other characters in Cyberworld. But how does this go back to RAMB being a parallel for Alphys? Well, let's start getting into the RAMB-Alphys connections. One of the first things that I noticed about RAMB is that, just like Alphys, out of their respected group of characters, they are the only character that you do not fight. All of the main characters in Undertale you battle for one reason or another. Even Sans, who you do not battle in the neutral route or true pacifist route, you eventually do battle in the genocide route. And so far, all the other secret boss characters, Spamton, Jevil, and Gerson, you fight as well. I think most people can agree that RAMB is technically the true secret boss of Chapter 3, considering one of the first times you talk to him, he just nonchalantly references Jevil and Spamton, and references other specific themes with Jevil and Spamton, and also just greater themes of Deltarune in general about freedom. And just like the rest of the Freedom Gang, he is a twisted parallel to another character in Undertale. What I mean by twisted, or should I say darker, is that Alphys goes through a lot of things in Undertale, like experimenting on monsters until they're all mutated and crying for their families. And she feels bad for not being able to fix it, spending time in the dump because, in her own words, that's her element. What's another character that's associated with the dump? Besides him. Yup, RAMB. But we, the player, are able to fix that on a true pacifist playthrough. We help Alphys through her problems and conquer her fears. She confesses her love to Undyne and sends the amalgamations back to their families. And she tries to be a better person afterwards. Because of that, we change her fate. But RAMB, it doesn't matter whether we use mercy or violence or even Snowgrave, he still gets stoned. Even if we do the Shadowmantle side quest, he gets stoned a little slower than if we don't, but he still gets stoned. And he's just stuck in TV world. He doesn't come back with us to Castletown, and he's never referenced or mentioned by anyone after Chapter 3. And that's what I mean by more twisted. We're able to give characters in Undertale a happy ending. Even in the secret neutral genocide ending in Undertale, after you kill Undyne the Undying but do not touch any monsters in Hotland, there's a secret neutral ending where you get a phone call from Alphys, where she talks about being the new Empress of the Underground and how everyone looks up to her, and also made her conquer her fears. I mean, sure, it's unfortunate that you have to kill all the monsters in the Underground and also her friends to get this ending, but after all that, she's still able to conquer her fears. And that's the one key thing I noticed differs between RAMB and Alphys. People care about Alphys. In certain neutral endings, there's endings where Alphys just completely disappears and people wonder what happened to her. And certain endings where Mettaton becomes the ruler of the Underground, Alphys just disappears and Mettaton even makes a statue of her and feels bad for treating her with such disrespect. But in neutral endings where she does not disappear, other characters try to cheer her up and make her feel better about herself. More specifically Undyne. But no one cares about RAMB. He tries making friendly conversation and jokes and gets no reaction. He's supposed to be the point dealer, but Tenna doesn't even trust him with the points. He doesn't like him touching them, so he can't even do his main job. One strong connection between Alphys and RAMB, however, is that they're very attached to the player and keep a close eye on the player. After Frisk leaves the ruins, Alphys starts spying on them in every area they're in until Frisk gets to Hotland and meets Alphys. During the Hotland areas in Undertale, Alphys tries to guide you through Hotland by calling you and telling you how to do puzzles, and as Mettaton later reveals that she faked a bunch of threats so that her and the human can become friends. RAMB, on the other hand, is similar to Alphys. They've been watching Chris since they were a young child, using them to play video games, and if you talk to them, they recall when Chris and Noelle were kids, they would play with the other Darkeners, such as King and Queen. And RAMB is the only Darkener that knows that Chris opened the Chapter 3 Dark Fountain and tells them so at the end of the Sword Route.
Chris, I'm an ignorant plug. Can't say I know your motivation. But I saw you make it. You know, the fountain. Could it be you just wanted to have fun again? Some real fun, just like the old days.
No other character in Chapter 3 or 4 mentions that Chris opened the fountain, not even Tenna, the main ruler of TV World. Also, a similar connection, Tenna likes to torment RAMB the same way Mettaton likes to torment Alphys. And we know in a recent newsletter, Tenna is supposed to connect back to Mettaton, according to Toby Fox. Just like Alphys, RAMB has technically been watching us since the very beginning of the game. And to make Chris feel like a big shot if we get the S-rank room, they both try hard to be on the player's good side and give them what they think the player wants.
Bramo, boring stuff. But if I know Chris, and boy do I know Chris, that's not what you want, innit? Freedom. That's what you want, chum. Freedom.
And maybe RAMB was the one that stole the Shadow Mantle from Sham in Chapter 2. Sham was surprised that the Shadow Mantle was gone in Chapter 2, so it's likely that RAMB probably stole it to put in the little game for Chris. Or maybe I'm looking into it too much, because it's also implied that the mantle that the king has is the same as the normal Shadow Mantle. Okay, I'm probably looking into this a little too much, but you don't know. Okay, it's just kind of a silly thought. Also recently, Toby Fox revealed that shadow crystals are made of determination. And there's a piece of dialogue in Chapter 4 that makes people think that determination are tears that are crystallized. And after you talk to the Pippin in Chapter 3, they say that no one will shed a tear for RAMB. So I guess there could be a secret double meaning there. No one will shed a tear for him, aka he does not have a shadow crystal. Okay, maybe I'm looking into that too much as well. And just like Alphys, RAMB seems to be aware of greater things going on within Deltarune. Although RAMB denies it, it seems to be that he's aware of the strange entity that seems to be backstage with Chris, whether that be ERAM or Friend. Also, I guess because in chapter 3 we get the reveal of Friend's body, and Friend kind of looks like the dog amalgamate, so I don't know, I can't think of a greater connection. They just look the same. Also, there's one thing about RAMB's design that I never seen anyone really point out. It's that their apron / overalls kind of looks like a sad face, because deep down, they're broken, or something like that. Okay, pause the video. Okay, so it's like 11 at night right now, and I'm like 95% done editing the video. And there's one small piece of, like, I guess not evidence, but just one weird little detail that I found strange that I wanted to put in the video, but I couldn't find a proper place. And it's that in the Spamton sweepstakes, in one of Noelle's blogs, she talks about how she was scared of electrical sockets because she felt they were always watching her. In one of her blogs where she says that her sister burned one of the Icy's pizza boxes, she says she thought she saw one of the electrical sockets blink at her, and this possibly could be a connection back to RAMB. After all, the Spamton sweepstakes happened, you know, like 3 years before Deltarune Chapter 3 came out and was foreshadowing a lot of things. So I don't know if this is supposed to be a reference to RAMB or if I'm just looking into it too much. I'm recording this at 12 in the morning, so maybe I have gone a little insane. I just wanted to mention it here in the middle of the video because I couldn't find a better place to put it. Anyways, back onto the video. Now I bet some of you are wondering, what's the end game of this video? What's the point? Why did you have me sit down for a 15-minute long video of me listening to a nerd talk about RAMB being connected to Alphys? And the answer is, I don't know, I just thought it was an interesting idea. I have no idea why Toby Fox is connecting the secret bosses to main characters in Undertale. This is just kind of like a side rant theory. This isn't really connected to the greater idea of this video, but my personal conspiracy theory is that the reason that the secret bosses in Deltarune connect back to main characters in Undertale all goes back to the prophecy. Now, in Undertale's universe, we know that the prophecy also exists, although it's not one-to-one with the prophecy in Deltarune, because last time I checked, we're not being called Toothpaste Boy in Undertale. But there is still small little similarities between the prophecy in Undertale and the prophecy in Deltarune, such as the Angel. I think it's safe to say that the Angel is a lightener within Deltarune's universe. It could possibly be Noelle, and that the Angel is possibly either Frisk or Asriel in Undertale, as said in the prophecy in Undertale, is a person who has seen the surface, and lighteners only exist within the surface. But why are the secret bosses connected back to the Undertale main characters? Well, I think that goes back not only to the prophecy, but to the greater idea of Undertale, choice. Now, obviously with Deltarune makes it very clear from the beginning of the first chapter that your choice does not matter. And that keeps on getting hammered in chapter by chapter, especially chapter 4, where the prophecy is pretty important. And it doesn't matter what route you're playing, whether a normal route with violence or non-violence, or a Snowgrave route, certain things still end up just happening. Tenna gets his arms cut off, the Titan gets summoned, and Sans Undertale befriends our mom. Although I would be a liar saying I know how Deltarune is going to end, I think it is safe to say we probably are going to get some difference in an ending depending if we do or do not collect all of the shadow crystals. Whether that's a new ending entirely or just the ending of a specific character, I have no idea. But considering that Undertale and Deltarune's prophecy are two sides of the same coin, after all, the Nintendo Switch trailer for Deltarune refers to Deltarune as the parallel story to Undertale, I think the secret bosses have a major role to play in that. And maybe that's why they connect back to main characters in Undertale. From legendary warrior, silly comedian, crazed superstar, or a tiny nobody that knows more than they let on. If befriending all of the main cast in Undertale was how we got our best ending according to Flowey, then maybe befriending or giving the best ending to all the secret bosses is how we truly are going to get freedom in Deltarune. But that's my little side conspiracy that I just thought of while I was writing this video. And that was my first Deltarune / Undertale theory. Well, I don't necessarily consider this as a theory video, as it's more of just an analyzation video. Leave a like and comment if you like the video, of course. I mostly just do Let's Plays on this channel, but every now and then I like to do something different, such as this video, which is different from our normal content.
This was just a strange idea I had after I finished playing Deltarune Chapter 3, and I haven't seen anyone else really talk about the idea of RAM being connected to Alphys. I hope I did a good job at explaining my reasonings why I think RAM is a parallel to Alphys. It's what this video is one of those videos where I think about it too much and it took way too long for it to come out. But I just kind of want to get it out there. Maybe I'll do a sequel video. Maybe I'll do a 100% better improved version of this video after I release it out on the internet. But now I'm just going to try to get this project done and move on to other theory videos. I have a bunch of other theory videos I haven't planned. Like I want to do one theory video in the future how I personally think Roll's card could possibly be the secret boss of Chapter 5. Or how Sham connects back to Flowey and Undertale. There's a few other Deltarune / Undertale videos I would like to do. So if you enjoyed this one, please leave a like or comment down below any constructive criticism or good things you liked about the video. That would be greatly appreciated. But now that I have this video finished, I have much more to work on. But thank you for watching this video. And remember,